I was the financial teacher, but you only have an hour with each group. And I said, you guys were valuable before you got to school, before you were even born. You were valuable along the way, before you played piano, before you took your first jog, before you hopped in the pool and swam, before you were scared, before you asked permission to go in the other room by yourself, before you even had a grin on your face. And I just wanted you to know that before you achieve at whatever it is, or struggle or have failures along the way, you're already immensely valuable now. Okay? So the reason why I shared that in a financial conversation is because the things that people picture in their lives are tied to peace. They're tied to relationships. They're tied to inherent value without specific performance. One of my favorite quotes, and I don't know if it was from somebody else. I know Wayne Dyer often quoted a lot of other people, but it's, if you are what you do, then when you don't, you aren't. And I wanted to tell all these kids, if you are what you do, then when you don't, you aren't. And I think that's where everybody starts, and they don't have to. So I gave these kids permission to be complete. Okay? When you closed your eyes and you pictured your future, you realize when we talk about it that money is not the goal. It's a medium of exchange for free time, for food, for a place to live, for the ability to do the things that we want to do with the people we care about the most at the times that we see the most fit to do them. That's what it is. And so when someone is just driving for money and more and more and more, and then they get it, then they jump off the roof. Because what they realize is they were so focused on the money that when they got it and they're sitting there with their legs swinging like Scrooge McDuck, that it wasn't enough. But most of us do learn along the way. It took me a very long time to learn that the value when I'm a child, when I'm in the midst of my career and my young life, and then I move into middle age, and as I get older, that the value is something far greater. And when you recognize that the value is already there, then now we're free to start to consider the behaviors that keep our rudder in the water during our careers, that strengthen our relationships while we're working and saving, and that we're building something that's not just for us, but for somebody else, right?
This question actually goes with with the piece you just did. How do you help clients who feel like their financial struggles define their work or success?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Kind of what we were just talking about.
Right.
It's interesting because that kind of, people wear it on their sleeve when that's the case. So that ties to something that you had talked to me about a little earlier, which is a little bit of a different wording of the same question, which is, that feeling of disappointment. And then when we're insecure about something, we wear it on our sleeve. Hey, I just want to let you know, doc, that I get white coat. So if you're going to take my blood pressure, it's going to go up, right? And then inevitably it happens, your blood pressure goes, see? Right? And then you kind of wonder, like, if we stop believing it, we stop saying it to ourselves, we stop saying it to everybody else. There are some wonderful people I work for who look around at the struggles people are having around them to make their current struggles acceptable. I am struggling right now in this way because that's what people do at this point in life, and that's just what it is. And so therefore, I'm one of the good people that's also struggling. When your self-talk, when your worldview is designed to justify your own failure, you'll always find it. And it'll come.
I know.
quick.
We need more money. She just gave you my money. Look at that.
So what we'll teach is, and it's not, weirdy manifesting, because it's like in the Secret, it had the person who looks at the necklace and then is wearing the necklace. It's not that one-dimensional, is it? Have you ever noticed the person that you offer the opportunity to? I mean, we influence and connect with a lot of people. I literally said to somebody once, if you bring your small insurance company, your clients, to my mortgage company that I owned years ago, I'll be able to bring you about $100,000 in commissionable business in the next year. I like you a lot. I'll give you all of it. What did the first thing in their head, what would it say if it were me? I would say, perfect, I like you, I trust you, I believe you, and I want to make sure I don't miss out on that opportunity. $100,000, wow, and I can help all your clients. Like, that's a great mix. But the phone never rang, because someone offering you the opportunity, if it's outside of your familiarity with that could happen, he never called. And I called him back. Did you want the work?
Yeah.
Right? So with somebody I was talking to yesterday, he said, well, we waited weeks. You need time when you're in survivor mode to absorb and recognize where you are. No matter how good your therapist is, or no matter how many things you know because of the stories you could tell and the people you've already helped, I'm not going to learn until I'm ready. Mm-hmm. And I need time to look in the mirror before I'm going to learn and absorb and grow.
And how many times, I'm just sorry, that we say that to our clients.
Yeah.
You got to stop, pause, and look in the mirror before you can do anything else.
So in our industry, we say needs-based sale, needs to get paid, right? Uh-huh. That doesn't inform, that doesn't give a client an opportunity, a person, the chance to understand and then to be empowered to make a decision on their own behalf. So that intersection where a salesperson goes, you want to do the thing? And the next person who talks loses, right? That's what everyone was taught. They still get taught that today. When we say, tell you what, we don't have that intersection. We're going to come around a different way. If we've heard you, if we've understood, and sometimes the sale is the understanding of who you are, where you are, how you should think about things in a healthy way, you have to come to that realization. If I can't do it, I can ask your permission to advocate for you. Can I advocate for you? I have an associate at my office, Gregory, who's really good at framing that. We're going to turn that teaching about 2 degrees this way, if it's okay with you. I had a client that did not want to put insurance on himself because his family was going to be fine. And one of the first things that he said to me is, the main thing I want to do is make sure my family's okay if I'm not here. So these things didn't line up.
Yeah.
Everything was ready. He said, you know what, this is just not something I'm going to do right now. And I said, that is okay. And it's been a month and a half, and we had a call yesterday after a very short impromptu call a couple weeks ago where I said, you didn't hire me to tell you what you wanted to hear. You hired me to tell you the things that you didn't know yet and give you the opportunity to know them a different way. He said, that's true. I said, so at the risk of the boundaries of our relationship, I'm going to ask you permission to advocate for you in our next call. And this is what I said. With the money you have saved, your family's going to get about $8,000 a year for the rest of their lives if you're not here. Okay? And your business is going to, your employees and your customers are going to scatter if you're gone, which means that business is worth nothing. Okay? It would seem to me like it would be appropriate to allocate some small portion of your current and expected ongoing financial success in your business to buy a pile of an insurance company's money in the event that you don't come home. And then we sat quietly. What Greg said was about 10 or 15 seconds when he started to tell me the story of how he was brought up and what abundance meant to them, which meant just food to eat and a roof over their head, and how it just didn't seem like. But then in that time that he had been given, he met a couple people. It's your reticular activator, right? You buy the car, everyone has the car.
Everyone has a car.
Right?
Yeah.
He says, well, I met a couple people who had a similar conversation with other people. And they're 10, 15 years ago, and now they're living in the results of some of the decisions they made. And it's so interesting. It lines right up with what you told us we ought to do.
They just weren't ready.
That's right.
So you had to give that time. So when someone called me, this is the funny story I was going to tell you about earlier. It's funny because the client came out of the woodwork after 9 years and said, I told the other guy that I was working with on these other things in my life and in my business that I have a good friend who's taken great care of us over the years. Talk about perception. And so here I am talking to you because he wanted to make some changes. I was like, I haven't talked to you in 9 years, but I'm the guy, right? So that was his memory of the care we had provided him. But his wife got on the phone with me for the very first time 9 years ago. And she knew the purpose of the call was to discuss finances. And she said, you're going to get mad at me. I'm like, not until I learn how to pronounce her name. I didn't know her. And she was leading with her insecurities about her finances. And I said, honestly, the things you think are bad are probably far better than you think. And the things you think you're doing great, you're probably screwing them up. Let's figure it out, right? So that's my long answer.